So days 57 and 58 were spent driving down the Pacific coast in Washington and in Oregon. And day 57 started off at the Kalaloch campground in Olympic National Park. The campground itself sort of also looks like an enchanted forest, and I got there late in the day, and if I came there earlier, I would have been able to snag one of the spots with this view. But as is, it was great. So I moved on down Washington coast, and I got to something called Dismal Niche, which is actually in the delta of Columbia River. And there is a beautiful view of the place where the river actually meets the ocean. And then you drive over a gorgeous bridge that turns into a gorgeous causeway. And then you are officially in the state of Oregon, which is famous for its beautiful coast. I had a short list of notable places on the coast I wanted to see. And the first one was the Twin Rocks, which played a prominent part in the movie called The Goonies. And also something called the Half Moon Bay, which exactly looks like a half moon, especially if you look at it from higher up. And then I just drove down the coast, enjoying the sunset along the way. And for the night, I parked myself at a pool out on something called Mullock Beach. And this was the view from my rear window. I wish I could have this view not just once in a lifetime, but all the time. Day 57 took me all the way down Oregon coast and into California. And it started not far from Mullock Beach at something called the Devil's Punchbowl, which is this very funky feature that actually looks like a punch bowl into which the ocean water gets in with every wave, and then it churns and churns inside. And there I also met this coolest cat whose name is Merlin, and who came with his owner all the way from Montana to surf. And my next stop was something called Thor's Well, which actually looks like a bottomless well into which the ocean water disappears with every wave. So that was kind of interesting but spooky. And on the same place, there is something called Spouting Horn, which is this little channel carved out by the water. And it has holes in it, so when the water surges in, it spouts out from the holes, sort of like a geyser. Now, Oregon coast is really beautiful, and it's not just the coast itself with the fog and the cliffs and the waves. It's what you see on the other side of you, which are these beautiful forested, very tall hills coming down towards the ocean, and the streams and the rivers surging down from them. Next stop, town of Florence, the Exploding Whale Park. So in 1970, a huge sperm whale washed up on the beach in town, and they had a genius idea of disposing of it by strapping half a ton of dynamite to it and blowing it to pieces. And unfortunately, the plan backfired, because instead of just breaking it up into small pieces for disposal, it sent pieces of the whale and the blubber flying in every direction. A car about half a mile away was crushed by a piece of blubber that landed on it, and the whole town stank for months. And to commemorate this intriguing experience, they built a very nice park. So I drove a long way further down the coast, and it was already starting to get dark, and eventually the road took me into California, into the beautiful Redwoods National and State Park. Since it was about to get dark, I didn't get to do much in the park, but I drove this very nice road to something called the Lady Bird Roosevelt Grove, that has a very nice bridge over the road leaning into the grove. And as any redwoods, it was beautiful and green and very peaceful. So around the park, there were signs about an elk farm or elk sanctuary, and they wanted to charge $25 for admission. But then the elk decided to treat me. So they just came out to the side of the road, and a few of them even put up a show. So yes, Oregon coast was everything that it was supposed to be. And to tell you the truth, I should have spent more time there. But I was on the way to my next destination, which was San Jose, California. And I wanted to make time to get to where I was going and rest and spend time with my friends. So I guess on the next trip, I'll just have to dedicate a lot more time to the beautiful Oregon coast. For now, you can just see what it's like.